Okay then, episode 37 of my Blackburn Rovers Football Manager 2017 save. Now, as you've probably noticed, with it being a cup final, potential European qualification on the line, I thought I had to kind of dress up. I normally kind of play in my pyjamas and I normally look like a mess. I still do look like a mess, but like more of a sophisticated mess, if that makes any sense. To be fair, Brendan Rodgers is a man with a lot of character.
We showed great character today.
We had to show big character today.
Today really showed and demonstrated again the character of the team.
We certainly have the strength of character.
We've shown wonderful character this week.
Not only have we got to win the battle of the pitch, but I've also got to try and win the battle of the touchline, I guess. But on another note, just before we dive into the EFL Cup final, someone, I can't remember the name off the top of my head right now, actually wanted me to take a look at some of the other leagues in the world at the moment. So we're going to start things off by taking a quick look at the Championship, just to try and get a rough idea of what the hell is going on in the world. Obviously, it's March. It's not the end of the season just yet, but it should give us a rough idea of what the hell's going on. So Burnley, unfortunately, are top of the Championship. That's not really what I wanted to see. It's the first time I've really seen that. But as we can see, it's incredibly tight at the top. Like, Burnley are first on 61 points, but then Wolves are just outside the playoffs on 57, so like anything can honestly happen from now until the end of the season. Champions League wise, we've reached the first knockout stage. If you look at, right, it's not been drawn just yet. PSG beat Dortmund 3-2, Madrid beat Bayern 3-1, Fenerbahce beat Barcelona 1-0, so that's really interesting. Wonder if they can pull off the upset, especially considering they're the defending champions of the Champions League. AS Monaco drew 1-1 with Atletico Madrid. Does that mean there's going to be a second leg, or what's going to... Yeah, all right, these are only the first legs, so yeah, anything can happen with these results, basically. Galatasaray lost 2-0 to Tottenham. Leverkusen with an away goal against Benfica. United beat Juventus 3-1. Not really surprising, they're pretty much the best team in England right now. And Sporting Lisbon with a 1-0 lead against Inter Milan, so that's pretty cool. Zidane's won 2 in a row. And, well, he's got a run for his money. Diego Simeone's men, hot on his tail in second place, Barcelona. Conte is actually their manager now. That's right, he was Chelsea's manager a few seasons ago, and he's now gone to Barcelona. Only 3 points behind these two teams, though, so anything can happen. Villarreal, interestingly, making a push, kind of rolling back the years to the Pellegrini years. PSG, of course, the holding champions. They've got a 10-point gap. Toulouse in second place, interestingly. They've now got Martial with 23 goals. And yeah, Ligue 1 ain't really a great league. As far as the Bundesliga is concerned, Bayern once again dominating. But Dortmund on 44 points in third place. So 9 points behind first and second place. But Bayern Munich only top of the Bundesliga at the moment on goal difference. They've got a game in hand, and I kind of expect him to make use of it, but Ralf Hasenhüttl, if that's how you say it, Bayern Leverkusen, definitely putting in a decent shift here. Let's take a look at some of the play. Gabbiadini and Hernandez up front, Bellarabi out on the right, still got him, Julian Brandt out on the left, so some familiar players, some players we've not necessarily seen before. Lars Bender, 29, still got it in him. Leno in goal, so really good stuff from Leverkusen, it has to be said. But other than that, I think I've covered most of the main leagues. Hopefully that's what people wanted. Juventus, defending champions, but AC Milan giving them a run for their money. In fact, any of these teams in the top 6 basically look like they could push and win the league from now till the end of the season, depending on how the 6-pointers go. Milan only top of the league by 1 point on 47. Juventus could easily pull off the comeback. Allegri their head man, of course, Morella in charge of Milan. Lazio on 45, Udinese on 45, Fiorentina on 44. Laurent Blanc is their manager, and Inter Milan on 41. So Inter Milan not really doing as good as maybe they would have liked, but Serie A looks lit at the moment, so decent stuff. Napoli, Chievo, Roma, all these teams could still make a push for a European spot as well from now until the end of the season. And last but not least, just a quick update on what the hell's going on with us. So last time round we beat Chelsea 3-1. I believe it was a 7-2 phenomenal victory on aggregate against Chelsea to book our place in the EFL Cup Grand Final, which will be, of course, against Stoke this episode. We then played Stoke in the FA Cup. Now, Stoke have been doing really well this season, just a few places beneath us in the top half of the table, which is really good considering that they were relegation candidates last season. I think we drew 1-1 against them earlier on in the season. We played them in the FA Cup. I wouldn't necessarily say it was too much of a weakened side, but we brought in new players like Rog and Nigel, and they didn't play a weakened side whatsoever either. Players like Shaqiri, Nelson, Odegaard, and little Joe Allen in there as well. It took an Andre Gray penalty in the 78th minute to really make a difference. And in terms of clear-cut chances, we had just about one more than them. But with this Stoke side, Brendan Rodgers is really putting together, I think, something quite special. So it's not going to be an easy final whatsoever. We then played Liverpool, went away at Liverpool. We've really struggled this season against the bigger teams, other than at the start of the season where we beat United and then Spurs. Liverpool are just so difficult to play against. Ever since they got this Romanian manager, I've just never been able to crack it. We did well to score 2 goals. Nano was the man who grabbed the goal because Andre Gray was, I think he was injured for some reason or was being rested for some reason because of the FA Cup game. And it really has been a tough run-up for these next few games for the final because there is so much emphasis on this final for us. If we win this final, we guarantee a European spot, which kind of means we can kind of take our foot off the gas in the league a little bit. We wanted the top half finish this season, but given the fact that we've been hovering in the top 5, top 6, top 7, it'd be a real shame if we don't at least secure a European spot. Stats really, really good. But if you look at the full stats, we had 4 clear-cut chances to Liverpool's 2. Really disappointing how soft the 2 goals, Daniel Sturridge's second and third goals were to concede. Nano did really, really well, really wanted to prove himself and get in ahead of Andre Gray in the side. Proud of him to score 2 goals, but really disappointed in our defence, as I have been on a lot of occasions, to be fair, this season. And I didn't really feel like it was a game we deserved to lose. Nano should have really got a hat-trick, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't meant to be. But I don't think we can be too disappointed with losing away at Liverpool, especially considering they could win the Premier League potentially this season if they somehow managed to stop rampant Mourinho. Next up, we played against Newcastle. We pretty much dominated most of the game, to be fully honest. You take a look at the match stats, clear-cut chances-wise, we had the clear-cut chance of the game. Their goal was really soft. We dominated most of the game, and then Callum Wilson, because of how overpowered he is this year on Football Manager for some reason, somehow managed to score in the 83rd minute. We went overload, and Andre Gray just about managed to salvage something from the game. Again, our form has been dreadful in the league recently because we've been focusing on the EFL Cup. We then beat Middlesbrough, Danny Graham scoring against his former team in the FA Cup. We got a 2-0 win against them. It's kind of worried that Jordan Rhodes would, because he's obviously at Sheffield Wednesday in real life, but not at Sheffield Wednesday in the game because we started before that transfer, before the January transfer window. Was kind of worried that he'd come back to haunt us. He didn't. Marco Rog, new signing, of course, got on the score sheet, and happy for him. I'm not sure if I've confirmed to you guys that he's actually signed, but I guess you know he has actually signed now. He's pretty versatile, can play out on the right, out on the left, or in the middle. So good backup for our box-to-box position, as well as one of our wide playmakers out on the wings, especially now that players like Gouffran and stuff aren't getting any younger. So nice to see him getting on the score sheet nice and early. And then we had a very, very, very difficult game against Everton. As you can see, they pretty much dominated us. We went 2-0 up inside the first 12, 11 minutes. And then Danny Bath scored an own goal. Kind of disappointed in him because it's the second own goal he kind of scores in a month now, I think it was. I think he scored an own goal a few episodes ago. So he's really got to try and get his game together, especially when you consider how much we paid for him. And on paper, he does look like a neat player, but I just don't think our defence has been as good as I thought it would be going into this season, especially considering how much money we've pumped into it. But what's important is, even when you're not at your best, I did have to rest some players, bear that in mind, in this game to keep them nice and fresh for this important final. You still get the win, and, you know, results like that are a sign of a good team. Only 3 points off Arsenal. Yes, they have a game in hand. I'm not quite sure who it's going to be against. It's going to be against Crystal Palace away. Not going to be an easy game for Arsene Wenger's men. In terms of first and second place and probably third place, there's no way I don't think we're going to catch up against these teams, especially considering that Tottenham beat us and we beat them once. But all we can do is keep trying to create a gap between us and Stoke in 6th place. And this is what I mean about Stoke. They worked extremely hard to get in 6th place. I think if you look at the league table from last season, 14th, only, in fact, they did beat relegation by a fair bit, but only because these 3 teams were crap. But they could have easily finished 17th if they had missed out on 2 points. So just 1 spot above the relegation spots tells you a lot about how much they've improved this season. So, in terms of this Stoke side, taking a look at their tactics, fortunately for us, Mame Biram Diouf, an ex-Blackburn Rovers player as well, ex-Man United, is injured. Arnautovic, of course, a player I'm kind of scared of, but he's unhappy, he's transfer listed, so a good player. Unfortunately, I'm not really expecting him to show much, or even show up. Bojan, of course, a player we have to be really careful of, quite good on Football Manager, has been for years, probably slightly better than he is in real life. I don't know if he'll end up, you know, replacing Odegaard, whether he might end up starting the game or playing up front. But they don't really have an out-and-out physical striker. It'll either be Dos Santos or Bojan up front. 2 centre mids, 1 deep line playmaker, 1 more of a ball winner in Mohamed El-Neni. We tried to sign him in the summer, but wasn't really interested in talking to Odegaard. Obviously, Odegaard more than likely for the first half at least, unless we're starting to push for a goal. If it's, you know, if we're 1-0 down or it's a 0-0, we'll be man-marked by Tiote at all times. Joe Allen be going in hard on him. In terms of centre-backs, Shawcross, not too much pace on him. Coates, though, a little bit more pace on him. So we might end up going into this game, swapping Andre, putting him out over on the right where he can cause Shawcross a little bit more problems. Stoke City. Oh, right. That's right, actually. Stoke won the EFL Cup last season, so that's why El Neni joined them. So as you can see, we take a look at their formation. Some of their players have recently played in a Europa League knockout second leg game. So I'm kind of hoping, yeah, you can see now, we're going to be in better fitness than these guys, actually. I've just noticed this now. It's nice to see I've done my homework, being the phenomenal manager I am. We should be able to really hammer this back line and hopefully win the game. So what are we waiting for? Suited and booted. I would have worn a blue tie, but I don't have a blue tie. I believe we're at Wembley. Yeah, we are at Wembley. So on that note, let's go to Wembley. Also, something I forgot to tell you. Our 2 Algerians are now injured. Kadura obviously has been injured for a while, that you'll be aware of because of his broken ankle, but Gilas injured himself. Yeah, so as you can see, Gilas injured his hip through wear and tear. I'm not quite sure how you're suddenly out for 2 to 3 months through wear and tear. I mean, it's a hip. Yeah, it's not a pair of shoes. But that means Danny Graham needs to step up. Here we go at Wembley. There I am. No, there I am. Yes, that's not me. So, now that we know who I am, let's take a look at the starting lineups. Stoke, basically exactly what we expected. Shawcross starting out on that right-hand side. So straight away, I'm actually going to swap these two because that's what my gut feeling tells me to do. Asidi out on the right for us. Demirbay in the middle. Could have played Nagel. He's played well, especially after his performance against Chelsea. But I feel like in a cup final like this, experience is important, which is why Bath and Dumic stay at the back. Varela is going to play right back. He's been playing better than Fabio for me recently, so he's going to be there. Asidi's experience will be awesome for us out on the right. McLean as well. Tiote too. So a nice experienced midfield. Hopefully we can grab a goal, be 1-0 up by half-time, and then start bringing on the youngsters, a bit more pace. And when Stoke are trying to get an equaliser and so on, pushing men forward, we can then try and catch them out on the counter-attack. And of course, Tiote will be man-marking Odegaard because, well, he's Stoke's main playmaker. In terms of team instructions, we've not really changed much, if I'm being fully honest. Don't really feel like we need to at the moment. In terms of a defensive line, I'm happy for us to stay on a normal defensive line. As you can see, Dos Santos is almost going to be playing as an extra midfielder. It is kind of worrying, this pressing game, though. We're trying to play out the back, and we're definitely having trouble. But McLean picks up the ball, and he plays the ball forward towards Danny Graham. But Coates will pick it up. El Neni now in midfield. He's going to hoof the ball forward towards Shaqiri with bags of pace, but Augustinson picks it up. As you can see, that defensive line, nothing too wrong with that. And 3 minutes in, I was just saying that I'm playing Danny Bath. You know, he's not been great in the last few games, and then he just does that. I mean, bloody hell, man, get your game together. Not good enough. Demand more from the players already. It's pretty bad when I have to do that 3 minutes in. Tackle from Kerem Demirbay. Another reason why he's playing as well in that box-to-box role is that he has really good work rate, tackling attributes as well, and is very technical on the ball too, which is really, he's a great all-rounded midfielder. But here we go. Bath better wake the F up. Hoof ball forwards towards Danny Graham. That's what we want. And is that a penalty? McLean's going to pick it up. Andre Gray. Oh! Goal! What a goal. Andre Gray. Great play from James McLean. Fabulous from him. Andre, I mean, that looked two-footed from Coates. I'm not sure if Coates won the ball there or not. Let's rewind it and take another quick look at that, because it looked like a penalty at first glance to me. He's definitely gone in two-footed there. I mean, he's won the ball. Nah, he took the man. That should have been a penalty, but you know what? Who cares? It doesn't matter. We've got the lead at Wembley. And there's a nice pass. McLean cuts inside, finds Augustinson, who doesn't get picked up as Shaqiri finds trouble tracking back. But you can see this high-pressure game from Stoke. Are we going to suffer from it now? Nelson picks it up. Stoke have a lot of pace in their attack, but it's a good save from Steele. But the warning signs are there from Stoke, so I'm going to have to tell the lads in the next team talk to tighten up. I'm not a big fan of this trying to play out the back against this lot, but let's see if we can make it two here. McLean cuts inside, and again, this end wins that ball, and maybe, just maybe, we need to try and slow things down now, because Stoke are playing on the counter. Joe Allen shoots, Joe Allen scores. 1-1. Goal from Joe Allen. And, well, we're getting caught in midfield a lot. They're playing quite a high-pressure game, our Stoke. So for that reason, we're going to do it again. We're going to match them too. In terms of a tempo, I'm going to try to actually bring that tempo down a little bit. Reason for that is it means players will take their time a little bit more when it comes to trying to run forwards. McLean there did well to cut inside, give us that extra centre mid, which is why we play with the wide playmakers. But that high pressure game from Stoke just caught our midfield out there, and yeah, nothing much our defence could have done. I put Jason Steele in goal because of his experience as well, but kind of a disappointing attempt there. Andre tries to win that ball in the air, doesn't, but we win it back. Asidi into the middle of the park to Demirbay, and that's a foul. And, well, I think Coates should have been sent off. And is that finally going to be the red card we want? It's only going to be a yellow, but it means that we're going to have a highlight from this free kick. Asidi plays it short to Varela. I'm not quite sure why he keeps doing that. And there's a tackle from Stoke, but they're closing down more. Kicks in. Gray needs to shoot. Gray needs to score. And he does. Andre Gray, once again, in this grand final. Nano has been playing well. 2 goals against Liverpool in the league. But you know what? Andre was watching. He was injured, but he was watching, and he was waiting to pounce against Stoke in the final. 2-1 at Wembley. Andre Gray with his second goal of the game. And I think now that we have a lead, Danny Graham hasn't exactly been phenomenal up front for us. His lack of pace against these Premier League standard centre-backs is starting to catch up with him. But I'm kind of keeping him at the club. I want to turn him into a member of staff. But we've got to guard against complacency now. Andre doesn't like it, but then again, the player that's playing well always dislikes it. We're going to keep Andre up front on his own. Tiote is going to move back into midfield. And this is a tough one, this. It really, really is. Who do I put my faith in? Do I bring on Marco Rog? Nice burst of pace will probably be quite helpful in terms of trying to counter-attack. Or do I put my faith in Nigel? You know what? I'm going to put my faith in Nigel. I think he played really, really, really well for us against Chelsea, and he's going to be a box-to-box midfielder as well. So we'll try and start things off here. We'll go to a control mentality, try and hold on to the ball. And we are, of course, already slowing the game down, but just try and hold on to the ball. Stoke will play a high-pressure game, and as their players come out, yes, they've caused us problems. Yes, the wingers have tracked back pretty well, but I'm pretty confident in terms of as they keep trying to pressure us and throw in men forward, it will create gaps for our players to run into. Marco Rog, a very fast player, someone we can look to bring in later on in the game to try and exploit that. But as you can see, they're marking us well, our Stoke. Nigel picks the ball up. Can't cock this up. The only problem I have with Nigel is the fact that he's left only footed. But we're holding on to this ball, which is good. But we've got to be careful. Nigel out wide to Asidi. Maybe got to start going a little bit more direct here. We are mixed, but I don't really like playing against this kind of opponent, and you can see why. But Nigel to Gray. Oh, just wide. And that's, ladies and gents, why we bring on Nigel, because he's creative like that. But Andre probably should have scored, because James McLean has somehow given away a penalty there. And I don't understand why. He's done absolutely nothing wrong. He's done nothing wrong, in my opinion. Nothing wrong whatsoever. He's given away a penalty now, apparently. Odegaard shoots. Odegaard scores. 2-2. Stoke should have had a red card. Didn't happen. And now this. What we're going to do is bring on Marco Rog as a wide playmaker and leave him there for now. Think he'll have that extra maybe burst of pace to take on some players. We'll turn him into a winger on support. Try and get him, running forwards a little bit more at his man. I feel like Andre should have scored that opportunity. Danny Bath obviously not playing too well, but this could easily go into extra time. So I don't want to make all our substitutions just yet. We're going to increase our tempo yet again. We're going to increase our width a little bit. And we're going to go back to a standard mentality and go from there. I feel like we've been the better side, better team. Yes, Stoke have had more of the clear-cut chances, but I do think the penalty counts as a clear-cut chance. I'm not entirely sure. But here we go. I said it was going to be tough against Stoke. The 2 times we've played them this season, it's always been tough. Kerem Demirbay is starting to tire, so we might go to a more usual approach with the 2 up top. The direct balls were definitely causing Stoke problems. Andre will go out on the left. Deep line forward wise, we're going to go with Nano. Gray will be a deep line forward on support for us, and Nano on attack. 2 very pacey strikers now. We need to, I think, try and retain possession a little bit less and aim on trying to play those slightly more direct balls forward towards the 2 up front. Goal kick for Butland. Let's see if our centre-backs can win this against Dos Santos. For some reason, they don't, and that's appalling. Header from Danny Bath, that's more like it. McLean picks it up. Augustinson to Bath, who hoofs the ball forward. It gets picked up by Nelson, who scores. I can't believe what I'm seeing here. I cannot believe what I am seeing here in this final. I can't believe it. I can't believe we've conceded that goal there. I can't believe we've just conceded that goal. These guys are going to become wing backs. Sweeper keeper on attack. We're going to have to do what we've got to do. We're going to have to go more direct. Be more expressive. And get that ball forward. I can't believe what I've just seen. This has got to be a big hoof up front. The problem is we've not got that physical target man to bring on. But what we do have is pace, and we need to use it. McLean picks up the ball. Great ball. We've got to score from this. Yes! Oh, how's he scored that? Unbelievable. Okay, Nano, ladies and gents. One minor change, which is to tell Steele to basically stop distributing to the fullbacks, because Stoke's third goal came from that. And we've been trying to play out the back a fair bit. So we're going to stop trying to play out the defence as well, because it's in our final third where Stoke, with these very pacey players, have actually been trying to constantly cause us problems. And I think man marking may have caused us a problem as well. I didn't realise. Odegaard now seems to be playing out wide. But what a ball from James McLean. That's why we brought on Nano as the pacey striker. I'm not quite sure how we scored that. You know, it looks like a bit of FM match engine fuckery. But to be fair, their goal was a bit of FM match engine fuckery as well. So I think we deserve that. 16 shots. Performance has been excellent. I'm going to calmly tell I'm not happy with your performance out there. Seemed confused. In terms of what Stoke are doing, Lescano's come on. Lescano. So, doesn't look brilliant, to be honest. Doesn't even look like he's got that much pace. I think what's disappointed me the most is look at the conditioning of some of these players. It's bloody dreadful. So, for that reason, I think we need to start closing down a little bit more. We are already getting stuck in, you know, start bloody rattling these Stoke players. They brought on some new legs. Let's see where they brought on these new legs. Van Beek out on right back. Something we can exploit. Seems more of a centre-back, actually. Mbula, quite fast, this lad. So, Van Beek, something we can look to exploit. Shaqiri's now playing in the middle of the park, which is interesting. Nelson, obviously very pacey, we've seen already on loan from Arsenal. And they've dropped Dos Santos. Very good technical players in this Stoke side. I do feel, though, like there's a gap to be exploited here, out on the left. And that was where Nano grabbed his goal from. And I believe it could have been up against Van Beek too. Tempted to go 5 in midfield again. We've really struggled to cope against their men coming forward. They've just always had that extra man in midfield, you know what I mean? But the thing is, they've got a lot of yellow cards. Andre, though, needs to find Nano here. Play it direct, son. Play it direct, and does. But it's offside. This is tough, this. We're going to look to try and exploit the left flank. And, you know, in a way, Stoke are kind of knackered at the moment. So we're going to start trying to use that offside trap and slightly higher, but then again, our centre-backs are tired as well. Rog with a free kick. Oh, hits the bar. He's hit the bar. Yeah, I genuinely thought that was in. And it's always difficult, you know, when you're on key highlights as well. It is going to be a penalty shootout. It's going to have to be Andre to take the first penalty, right? And then Nano. But the problem is, you look at some of the rest of our players, we don't have great penalty takers. We need to score these first 2 penalties, and Andre does. Good. 1-0. Steele's going to have to come big here. You know, because I put him in for his experience, but I'm pretty sure our main goalkeeper would be better with saving penalties. But Steele saved the penalty. 1-0 at Wembley in this penalty shootout. Nano, you've played phenomenal today, mate. But that penalty was dire. Jack Butland denies him. And Odegaard, injured. Can he strike a ball? He can't. Steele, wow. I need to slag my players off more often. McLean ain't going to score this. He didn't score. I mean, it's meaningless Steele saving penalties if we're not going to score them. Centre-back now taking a penalty for them, and he puts it in the back of the net. So we need to make sure we score this. It's going to be Augustinson. We paid a lot of money for him a season ago, and he scores to make it 2-1 in the shootout. Shaqiri now. This guy ain't going to miss. This guy's quality. And yeah, blasts it in. Great penalty from Shaqiri. And who's going to take it for us this time around? It's like, honestly, our penalty takers are so bad. New transfer. Yes. Our penalty takers are so bad, it wasn't even worth me choosing specific penalty takers, bar the first 2. Dos Santos now. Ex-Spurs man. Will he miss? He does! And we win the EFL Cup and guarantee a European spot next season. I'm going to stay... I'm going to stay calm, yeah? People had us written off today, but you proved them all wrong. It was hard. We knew we had to dig deep against Stoke. We knew they were going to be more tired than we were. It took a lot of tweaking. I think even though when we look at the match stats and see that they had most of the clear-cut chances, and this kind of goes like off most of what I said earlier on in the game, I think we matched them regardless of the clear-cut chances. And I think the goals that they did score, considering Odegaard scored a penalty, which did not look like a penalty. Nelson's goal, which was that weird bounce back where Bath tried to clear the ball, and that happened. But overall, I think the right team won at the end of the day. And if you don't think the right team won, then, you know, let me know in the comments. Fair enough. But I think that's going to be it. It's been a bloody long video, but that's what you expect with extra time. We're guaranteed Europe next season, which is awesome considering 2 seasons ago we just got promoted from the Championship in the same season as in this season, where we look like we're going to get relegated to League One. Next up is Leicester in the Premier League, then Chelsea, West Ham, Arsenal, Man City. It's going to be tough, right? Next episode, I'm not going to show Chelsea again because you're all probably sick of the sight of Chelsea. I'll probably show up around Arsenal, West Brom, but until then, see you next time.